Hello there. Welcome to Access Humboldt. My name is Matt Knight. I am the station manager for KZZH 96.7, and I produce many television shows and radio shows here at Access Humboldt. One of the shows I've been producing here for about the last 3.5 years is North Coast Journal Preview. And I want to show you how you can achieve the same results that I have been achieving these last 3.5 years. Let's take a look. So the first thing I do is, of course, import the show. I've got the new show in there and related material. And Final Cut, I use Skype to make this show. So Skype has some funny things about it, and one of those things is that in order to get equal-looking windows, you need to have 4. So it helps if you have 4 people, or if you have your engineer maybe makes the 4th, or you could just have a couple of computers open that would give you this kind of 16:9 ratio, aspect ratio that I've got going right there. And so let's take a look at the raw footage and see what's going on behind all of this right here. So this is what it looks like raw. There's us before the show. We're doing some chatting. We're talking, and I cover up my camera so I'm not seen. And then I have a graphic that goes over in that black spot right there that kind of dresses that up so it's just not a big black hole. And in this case, it's the North Coast Journal logo. So you can see how I have these 4 equidistant boxes. If you had 3 boxes, you would have maybe 2 small boxes and 1 big box, and that would be really hard to make look good when you go to your ISO shots, and we'll talk about that more in a minute. But yeah, it's important to have 4 equal boxes. If you have more than 4 people coming in, I don't know what to tell you, but usually you don't, and you can do 3 in the engineer or 2 in the engineer by just adding a second computer to make them all equal. It's my raw material. No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to put my newly recorded material in the trash. So I'm not going to do that. So here I've got up here you'll see my pre-made shows, the show date, number 1 and number 2. One of them is set up to do a 2-person show, and the other one is set up to do a 3-person show, which is what a North Coast Journal usually is. It's Thad and Jennifer and our host, Tanya. So we're looking at last week's show. And let's see, let's get that open. So yeah, so I have all these elements here that I reuse. I have lower thirds. You can see those under their names. I have this open that I create. All I really do is just change the date. I've got the open, the music, and I just substitute this week's footage for last week's footage. And then that's running right there. You can see the open running with our little theme song. And then we fade into the first shot.
This is a show where we take a look at what's coming to the current edition of the North Coast Journal.
And then as she introduces everybody, including herself, the names pop up one after the other.
And Arts and Features editor Jennifer Fumiko Cahill. Welcome to you both. I hope you're having a lovely week so far.
Right. So I just take and move those off to the side so they don't get deleted when I take out the old footage. And here's that box that I was talking about up there. That's their graphic that I put over my blacked out window, and that just hides that blacked out window, balances everything out. And they have a little thing where we see the cover. So we have a little widget that you can drop images into, and when they're describing the cover of the current edition of North Coast Journal, that pops up. And you can see I'm already into an ISO shot there with Thad, and I'll talk more about the ISO shots in a second. But I'm going to start taking this stuff off, putting it on the side, because I'm going to bring in the new footage from this week. We're looking at last week's show. So that's a lower third right there. I'm going to put that very in the front. And there's another lower third there. I'll go down and get another one, probably Jen's. Put that down there. Down here at the end, I have their website information. I put that off to the end over the close, which I'll show you in a while. And I move the music over, because if I delete the last week's footage, it will also delete the music. It doesn't delete it. It's non-destructive. I can go back and get it, but I have it all set up with it ducking in and out. And so I don't want to have to redo that. It saves time to not have to. So now I'm deleting last week's show. And I'll just leave a little bit of last week's show, just one little squidge of that. And then I'm going to replace it. See, did that work? Let me see here. Nope, didn't work. All right, so let's try again. I'm going to drop that right on top of that, and then it'll ask me if I want to replace it, and I'll say yes. So now you see all of the talking that we do. We do a lot of jawing before the show, just talking about nonsensical stuff and talking trash. You can see Jen having a good laugh there. But we cut all that out because nobody wants to see that. We want to get right down to the show. So here I'm moving it on to where Tanya's about to do her introduction, like you saw from last week's show.
Hello and welcome
Thad's
to
drinking
the North
coffee
Coast Journal preview.
in the beginning of the show. That's not good. I'm sorry, Thad. So I'm just going to cut it. I'm cutting that, and I'm going to just delete it. Then I'm going to stretch out this logo thing. So I'm just going to go and change the duration to 30 minutes, which is more than enough because the show's only 25 plus the intro and outro. So now I've got that going over the complete top of the show, right? And we have our 3-shot. But I don't want to see Thad drinking coffee. That's not right. So you can see I'm matching this up. So making sure that the transitions are the same amount of time, 1 second. And you can see how Final Cut shows us that it's all matched up when you see those yellow lines.
Hello
and then so Thad was drinking coffee. Not supposed to be drinking coffee in the beginning of the show. So I am going to go to a 1-shot. So I'm just going to cover that up by just cutting to Tanya. And so this is how I create the ISO or 1-shots that you'll see out of these 3 shots. So the first thing I do is I just start separating them. I find the spot that I want to come back to when we come back to the 3-shot, and I just push my cursor. So there we are. We'll want to take that, and I just put a cut in between. And then I'm going to go back and I've also taken the audio down. I take the audio off so I can do editing if I have to change things in the audio. And one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the audio level up because it usually comes in a little soft. So I'm going to go up. I've highlighted the audio. I'm going to go up and I'll move this over so you can see it. I go up and give it, I don't know, 3 or 4 dB. I usually shoot for about -6. You can see the VU over there on the right-hand side. So that's looking maybe like I might need a little more. So I'm going to go up to 4.5. Let's see if that's any better.
Hello, and welcome to the North Coast Journal Preview. This is a show.
I guess that's all right. Okay. So now I'm going to make Jen and Thad go away. And the way I do that is I start by cropping. So I'm going to crop this picture down so I just have Tanya's shot. So here we go. I'm just going to crop, and then I'll pull in this side. And why is it not going away? Oh, I'm on the wrong thing. So I'm on the top. That's not good. So Control Z out of that. Okay, here we go. So now I just have Tanya. I am going to make that disappear. I'm just going to use the Control V. It's not Control V. It's a V that just makes that thing disappear. Got that. Now I'm going to transform this. I'm going to pull this out so it fills the entire frame. So I'm just going to pull that up into the corner. I'm going to pull it down like that. And I tend to pull it down a little further to hide the name that Skype puts in. You can't defeat that name. It's always there. And I like to use my own lower thirds. So I just push it down and just make it a little bigified so it's out of the way and you can't see it. All right. So now we've got an ISO of Tanya doing her open. And now we're on to the 3. Thad is gratefully stopped drinking coffee. So now I'm going to bring in those lower thirds that I showed you before. If I'm lucky, they're all set up and they're timed perfectly. And I think this time I'm actually lucky and they're in the right position, because from week to week, the windows will change around depending on who gets on first. They might be in a different spot in the 4 camera grid. But hey, I lucked out this time. Everything came up roses, and I've got their lower thirds in there, just the way I like them. So, okay. All right, so moving on. We're going to move on to where we take a look at the cover, and I use this little widget here to make the cover pop up. Yeah, so paste attributes. This is a thing where I'm going to copy the attributes. I'm actually copying everything, but I have attributes that I can use. So I could make the entire thing a one shot of Tanya like I've done right here. Just by pasting the attributes onto it. And that comes in really handy when you start switching back and forth between cameras. And you, instead of having to go in every time and pull that out and do the transform and the crop like I showed you, you're just using the attributes and you're pasting those on there, and then you get your shot, the exact identical same shot every single time. So I'm going to put this back. I'm going to Control Z out of here. Back to my 3 shot. Oop. There we are. Okay. So let's just listen.
North Coast Journal's news editor,
Boom.
Thad Greenson, and arts and
Boom.
features editor, Jennifer Fumiko Cahill.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome
Just
to you
like
both.
uptown.
I hope you're staying dry.
They're just doing a little small talk.
Yeah.
They do a little small talk before they get into the body of the show. And now Tanya is going to prompt Thad, or actually it's Jen this time, to talk about what is on the cover of the North Coast Journal. And when she does that, when she introduces the topic, we'll listen a little bit here. Right there. So I'm going to get my little widget that I've got over here, my little logo widget, and I'm going to bring that over there. It currently has last week's photo in there. So I'm now going to drag this week's photo. Let me move that over there so you can see. So over there in the right-hand top corner, you can see last week's photo, and here we'll just take a look at it. That's from last week. We want this week's in there. So there's the screenshot that I'm going to use of their cover, and I'm just going to drop it right in that window. Boom. Just like that. And go back and...
Interesting story brought to us, the cover
voila.
This week by Jennifer. And would you like to fill us in on all of the spicy details?
Now you have this week's cover, and it goes along with the narration. So, okay, so the next thing that I like to do is I like to come out of that with a one-shot of whoever's talking. It's usually Thad, but this week it happens to be Jen. So I'm going to do the same thing I did with Tanya. I'm going to make a one-shot for Jennifer. So I'm just going to find the beginning of when she starts talking. And you don't really... I got to the point where I listened to the show. I was there when it was being produced, so I know what they're saying, what they've said. But I'm looking for the spot where Tanya comes back in, where she starts to talk. Or I might look for a reaction shot. If Tanya's making a funny face or mugging or doing whatever she does, she's adorable. I will cut to that, right? Because you like to have reactions of people, you know. They're all talking together. So here's my cut. And I'm just going to go in and do what I did with Tanya's. So I'm gonna turn off this logo thing because we don't need that in a one shot. Yeah, turn it off. Okay, there we go. Now we're going to go down and we're going to do the same thing that we did with Tanya's. I'm going to click on that and then I'm going to start cropping. So we'll go over here, we'll do a crop, pull in this side. Final Cut's really neat because it divides up in the exact four corners that you want, right? You can make it a little smaller too. Sometimes it's easier to see the edges if you make your working area smaller. It's just a little easier to see, and so I'll probably do that, you know, when I first do this. But once I get her one shot done, then I don't need to look at that anymore. I can just go and copy that and reuse it over and over again.
Spicy indeed. So
now we have a one shot of Jen.
Is about Mazzetti's. You may have heard they closed January 11th was the first night that they shut down and they reopened.
Okay, so she's talking.
And I'll be honest, this was not the story that I had gone in thinking I was going to write.
She goes back to talking. So I've got my reaction out of Tanya. And now I'm going to go back to that one shot. I've copied that lower area of her one shot. And now I'm going to go down and find the next spot where Tanya comes in. Or Thad, but usually it's Tanya asking a question or commenting. You can see I have no audio down there. And that was a problem that I had to fix later. I could hear the audio, but when I shared this out, the audio didn't work. So anyway, neither here nor there. It has nothing to do with what we're doing. It's just a Skype weirdness thing. And now I'm going to go and I'm going to paste attributes. So I'm going up here. I'm going to go paste attributes right down here. Boom. It tells you what attributes you're pasting. I'm pasting those. Now I'm back to a one shot of Jen.
Paid, and they kind of express the same experience. I talked to Tom Telez, the owner, and
now I might go to a one shot of Tanya. So the thing I would do is, instead of redoing the one shot, I'm going to go back and find her first one shot, copy that. I'm copying everything, by the way, but we'll only use the attributes. If I push Control V, that little clip would pop up. But in this case, we're just going to use the paste attributes feature. And so it just puts the attributes onto the video.
A story changes sometimes. But this was really a big shift. I have talked to Joe Mazzotti a lot of times over the last decade or so.
It's kind of, I don't have, there we are. Here we go. She stops talking right there. Make my cuts. Yeah, turn that off, and then I'm going to paste attributes here. Boom. So now I have my one shot of Tanya. I'm going to make it big again because I don't really need to see the outlines because I've already got my attributes pasted. And so Jen keeps on talking. Talk, talk, talk. Taka, taka, taka. That girl can talk. She's one of my favorite people in the whole world. All right, so we can see Tanya nodding. So yeah, we don't want to just stay on one shot all whole time. We want to have some reaction. So Tanya is giving her a reaction. She's nodding to whatever Jennifer just said. So let me put in Jen's one shot here. And then this will come out.
My hope was to really kind of illuminate
right.
what
nodding.
happens when we see that, when we see the clothes on, when we see the lights out, what's happening behind the scenes. But in this case, what was happening behind the scenes was not.
And right as soon as she stops nodding, I'll go back to Jen's one shot. And this is just the way it goes throughout the entire show. If they're having an interaction and they're all talking together at the same time, then I leave the 3 shot up. Right? That makes sense. You don't want to hear somebody talking and they're not on camera. Okay, there she's nodding again.
Any information about that or what it's going to be like. And yeah, it's going to be something new.
Everybody on this show is awesome, by the way. Just thought I'd mention that. Tanya's never done anything like this before.
And starting another restaurant, I don't have any information about that or what it's going to be like. And yeah, it's going to be something new.
Just stay on the 3 here, I think, because they're all nodding. Thad's nodding too. Anyway, like I was saying, they're all pros. Thad is great. Jennifer is a hoot. We started doing this on radio, but we went to video during the pandemic, or actually before the. She usually doesn't have this quite as long of a piece, but she had the cover story this week. So generally, I try and get them to split up their time 50-50. But this week it was Jen. Cut to an ISO. Paste attributes. Go back. I'm going to go back and get Tanya's attributes here because looks like I'm going to cut to her. Yep, she's making comments.
Well, thank you, and I'm sure you will bring us further details as they arrive. With that, we're going to switch over to Thad and let him illuminate some news articles that are also coming to this week's journal. Thad.
Right about... Oh, I don't know. Okay, so I'm going to cut it right before Jen nods, because now Jen's reacting to Tanya. Paste my attributes. I guess I could learn the shortcut, but I just go through the file menu. I get confused about the shortcuts, but if you're swift and you have an elastic brain.
I mean, what impressed upon me is how devoted the workers were to each other.
So this is kind of a
what
transition
kept everything
here.
Going, but I can't imagine.
So they're transitioning to Thad, I think, here. So I leave the 3-shot up
run
here.
Effectively with that kind of good luck getting your paycheck.
Okay. Yeah, and I think
so it looks like Jen's going to do a little more talking.
People had worked, some of them, a month without a paycheck, essentially.
Okay. Just a little bit more. She's just summing up. Okay. Here's our actual transition. This show's only 25 minutes long, so we usually don't come to the second person this late, but it happens sometimes. So now Thad's going to do his thing. So we're going to, just like we did with Tanya and Jennifer, we're going to create an ISO for Thad. So I'm just going to go down. I'm going to find where one of them, either Tanya or Jen, comes back in. Or there's a reaction. I want to put a reaction in maybe. That's all business. Okay, there's a little reaction shot right there. So I'm just going to cut that there. And I'm just going to do the same thing I did with Tanya and Jen's shot. I'm just going to go in. I'm going to crop it. Oop. That's not a crop. Yeah. Is that it? Yeah. Okay. Crop. We're cropping now. Crop, crop, crop. Snip, snip. And I'll make it a little bit smaller so I can see the edges better. I'm going to transform. I'm just basically going to pull it out and make it bigified, make it bigger. You can see the resolution is not that great. I have no control over the kind of cameras that these guys have, so sometimes it's not that great, but it's okay for cable TV, right? Or for YouTube. I mean, because they're already stomping on it.
Yeah, thanks, Tanya. Unfortunately, one of them is not very illuminating. It is largely about our efforts
hear it on
to answer
radio.
a question.
And that's one of the beauty things about this is that I will also, in addition to the video, I will output a audio file, and that audio file will be radio ready. It'll be ready to go right on the radio. Now I guess that's what radio ready means. So now I'm going to paste the attributes for Thad. Paste. There we go. Make it bigified again. And we're getting to about the last 90 seconds of the show here. So I might just leave them all up for the rest of the show. Let's see what we get.
But we continued this week to dig into the land exchange agreement between Eureka City Schools and AMG Communities Jacobs. Yeah, we will continue trying to answer these questions until we actually are able to. But it's looking like that might be a while.
Yeah, so what happens here is as I get to the end of the show, we will start bringing back all those graphics that we took out. But first of all, let's get to the end here. All right, so one more time with Thad. He's got a little bit.
Maybe.
Well,
these guys are amazing. Did I mention that? They're amazing people.
I know we kind of dug in deep, but I want everybody
you should be so
to
lucky
pick up this week's journal
to have this kind of talent in your show.
Or, of course, you can always go find it on the northcoastjournal.com. It is available on newsstands today, so everybody
Coming
pick
up
up
to the
your
end
copy.
here. She's saying her
And with
goodbyes,
that, I
saying her
am
thank
Tanya
yous.
Shrum. Thanks for being with us. Thanks to Jennifer
Right about
and
there.
Thad for
Let's see.
all of your hard work
Right
and
about
reporting.
there. We're going to cut that. Cut the audio down. Bye-bye. We're going to get rid of that. We'll get rid of that. And then we'll even up the end. We'll even up the transition. So I'm going to pull that out to the end. I'm going to put a crossfade on it. Control T, by the way. That's one shortcut I do know. I'll make that 1 second. For some reason, Final Cut changes it every time I go out. But anyway, neither here nor there. Then I'm going to bring back the music. So here's the theme song, and you can see that I have it snuck in. I've got the music ducked down, and I have a fade up behind her goodbye. Kind of lets you know that the show's over. Okay. Then I'm looking for when she talks about the website. Right there. And then I'm going to bring in back the website thing. These are actually two graphics. I like this graphic, but it doesn't have a drop shadow. So I've created a drop shadow. I'll show you how I did that. Let's play through it though. Okay, so yeah, so the top one is it's the same lettering and everything, but one is white. So the top one is white and the bottom one is black, and I have that just offset a little bit to make a drop shadow, so it shows up well over whatever background they have. Most of the graphics you're going to use have a drop shadow in them that you can just go, and it's a feature you can just turn it on. But this one doesn't happen to have it. It's kind of a pain in the butt, but I like it, and it goes stylistically with the rest of the show. Let me move this over here so you can see. So I've got all my lower thirds of my stored over here. So let's grab one. Let's see. That's Thad's. So we don't need, he doesn't come till the end. So let's go over and get Jen's. Okay, so we're just going to grab Jen's. We're going to bring it down. I usually drop my lower thirds so they happen right at the transition point when it switches between cameras. Maybe put it back a little further for people who have come in late. They want to know who's talking. Then I'll move Thad down here. I'll get Tanya's. Do I want to put it there? That still might be a little early for her. I might move her down a little farther here. No, there. Right there. So right on that transition. Cool. And I'll bring Thad's down. Put that over him down here. So it pops up for him. So now I've got my credits. I only credit, it's a short show, so I only do lower thirds one time. And then what's left is to change the date. So it's the 31st of January. I'm just going to go up and change the 24th to the 31st. Just check. I usually try and check everything just to make sure that things haven't inadvertently gotten moved.
Of a interesting story brought to us, the cover this
Sometimes
week
stuff
by
gets
Jennifer,
accidentally turned
and
off.
Would you like to fill us in on all of the
That's kind of a
spicy
bummer when the
details?
screen goes blank. But stuff happens, so what are you going to do? So now I'm going to share this out. Let's see. So here is a setup for audio only. It puts out an MP3. So that's what I use for the radio station. I put out an MP3 and take that and drop it into the playout software. And here's what I use. I use the 1080p option for the show that goes on TV and on YouTube. Put the date on it. Looks good. Hit next. And do save. And that's pretty much how it's done. It usually takes me, well, how long has it taken me here? It's taken me about a half hour, a little over a half hour to do all this. The other thing I'll do is I'll get like a current frame. So I'll get a current frame of that I use for social media. So I'll find one where people's eyes are open and their mouths are smiling and stuff like that. I want to make everybody look as good as possible. And then I'll just take a current frame. That's one of the options on Final Cut Pro. You can just do a shot of the current frame, and that comes in handy for a lot of reasons. But in this case, I'm just going to make I won't do it right now because I'm outputting the show, but I'll make one of these, and then I'll use that in the social media when I say announce when the show's going to be on and stuff like that. And that's how it's done. That's how I create North Coast Journal Preview every week, and you can do shows like this too. If you need any advice or information about how the show was created, drop me a line at matt@accesshumboldt.net. That's matt@accesshumboldt, all lowercase, all one word, .net. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.